As you know that this is a cranial end of neural tube and this is a caudal end of neural tube, and from this cranial end of neural tube, so here brain will develop, and from this caudal and spinal cord will develop, and this is a developing brain of the neural tube, and this developing brain divided into three primary vesicles: prosencephalon, mesencephalon, rhombencephalon. Now later, so here from this primary vesicles, if you see that, so here secondary vesicles also obtain, but here that is from this mesencephalon, that is only one secondary vesicle obtained, which is also mesencephalon, so it doesn't undergo any division. Now here that this mesencephalon is converted into midbrain. Now in today's video you have to understand how this mesencephalon converted into a midbrain. So now today's topic is a development of midbrain. So as I have already mentioned, so today's topic is a development of midbrain, and midbrain develops from the mesencephalon of the neural tube. So just like, so here spinal cord, so here this is the lumen of the mesencephalon, this is the roof plate, and this is the lateral wall. So therefore that I have written that mesencephalon also contains lateral wall, lumen, and a roof plate, and this is the further divisions of lateral wall. So here into three layers: ependymal layer, mental layer, and marginal layer, and this is the dorsal part of lumen, and this is the ventral part of lumen. Now here that I have written that the lateral wall of the mesencephalon divided into three layers: ependymal layer, mental layer, and a marginal layer. Now here seeing this diagram, so here again that this is a ventral part of lumen has become compressed or has been narrowed. Why? As you already know, because of the faster growth of this mental layer, second layer of the lateral wall. And here basically there is a line which is separating the dorsal part of the lumen from the ventral part, and that is the sulcus limitans. So therefore that I have written that the ventral part of lumen becomes narrow or compressed due to the faster growth of the mental layer. The line separating the ventral part of lumen from the dorsal part is called sulcus. Now again further, now here that the ventral part of the whole neural tube is known as basal lamina, and the dorsal part is known as alar lamina. So therefore that I have written that the ventral part of mesencephalon now called basal lamina, whereas the dorsal part is known as alar lamina. So here that's all basically what is alar lamina, basal lamina, and here what are the three layers, basically ependymal layer, mental layer, marginal layer, and narrowing of lumen. Now here basically main topic comes. So here basically what are the derivatives of mesencephalon. Basically first of all I want to mention what are the derivatives of mental layer of mesencephalon. So first of all that I want to discuss basically what are the derivatives of this alar lamina of mental layer. So first of all that this is the alar lamina of the mental layer, green color portion, and here that you can see that in this alar lamina there are some neuron forming cells, basically neuroblast cells are there. Now here, and you already know this is the roof plate. Now here if you see there slowly that this neuroblast, so here neuroblast cells which are present in this alar lamina, they are migrating into the roof plate. Now here you see that as a result of the migration of the neuroblast cells of the alar lamina of mental layer into the roof plate, basically colliculus form. It is basically a single mass object. So therefore I have written that due to the migration of the neuroblast cells of alar lamina of mental layer into the roof plate, a single mass object called colliculus form. So that's all. Now here about the further divisions of colliculus. So here this is the colliculus. Now here you see that this is divided into two superior or into a pair of superior colliculi or and a pair of inferior colliculi, and there is a line or sulcus which is present between these two pairs of basically between the pair of superior colliculi and the pair of inferior colliculi, a sulcus present, basically cruciform sulcus. So therefore that I have written that the collicula is divided into superior and inferior colliculi, both the colliculi separated by the cruciform sulcus. So therefore now if you see that this colliculus made due to the migration of the neuroblast of the alar lamina, and finally that this colliculus makes superior and inferior colliculi. So as a result, if you see that this superior and inferior colliculi made due to a neuroblast cells of alar lamina, so therefore they are derived or are developed from this alar lamina layer of mantle layer. So therefore that I have written that the derivatives of alar lamina of mantle layer are superior and inferior colliculi, because as I have already mentioned that let's discuss about derivatives of alar lamina of mantle layer. So therefore that this, so here superior and inferior colliculi derived from the derivatives of alar lamina of mantle layer. So now see here that this is the again alar lamina of mantle layer, alar lamina of mantle layer. Now here also there are some neuroblast cells. Now here this is the ventral side, this is the dorsal side, and these neuroblast cells, they are migrating ventrally. Now here you see that due to the migration of the neuroblast cells of alar lamina of mantle layer ventrally, so here two structures from red nucleus and substantia nigra pigmented portion. So therefore I have written that due to the migration of the neuroblast cells of alar lamina of mantle layer ventrally, so here red nucleus and substantia nigra form, and both this red nucleus and substantia nigra form from the alar lamina of mantle layer. And this is the final portion that I want to show all the derivatives of alar lamina of mantle layer. So the first superior and inferior colliculi, a red nucleus and substantia nigra. Now I want to discuss about the derivatives of the, so here basal lamina of mantle layer. So here again ventral dorsal, so this is the basal lamina, and here that in this basal lamina there are some developing cells in the basal lamina of mantle layer. Now again they are, so here migrating ventrally, and here basically you see that basically cells, so here developing cells have been classified into, so here different groups. So here like that they have similar structures and similar functions, they have similar structures and similar functions. So therefore I have written that cells, so here developing cells form functional groups on the basis of structures and functions. And as a result of this, you can see here that different types of nuclei form for cranial nerves. A nucleus of oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve nucleus, and Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Therefore that I have written that due to the developing cells of basal lamina, the following nuclei made oculomotor nerve nucleus, trochlear nerve nucleus, Edinger-Westphal nucleus, and also mesencephalon nucleus. And here I want to show the derivatives of basal lamina are, so here oculomotor nerve nucleus, trochlear nerve nucleus, Edinger-Westphal nucleus, and mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve. So now I want to discuss here about derivatives of marginal layer. So but before discussing the derivatives of marginal layer of a mesencephalon, you should know the, so here name of some fibers, basically corticospinal fibers, corticobulbar fibers, and corticopontine fiber. So basically if you want to know what is corticobulbar fibers, so similarly, so here nerve fibers which are originating from cerebral cortex, and they are, so here migrating into a bulbopontine extension, corticobulbar fibers. Similarly, corticospinal fibers, so here basically fibers originating from cerebral cortex and terminating in spinal cord. And similarly corticopontine fibers, so here fibers originating from cerebral cortex and terminating in pontine nucleus. And all these are the name of the fibers, so here originating from cerebral cortex, corticospinal fibers, corticobulbar fibers, and corticopontine fibers. See that this is the marginal layer of the a mesencephalon. Now here see that, so this is the initial condition, but after you see that is corticospinal fibers, corticobulbar fibers and corticopontine fibers, that all these three different fibers pass through the marginal layer. As a result, you can see that this marginal layer becomes enlarged or expanded, and that expanded marginal layer known as crux cerebri. So therefore I have written that due to the passage of the following fibers through the marginal layer expanded, and that expanded marginal layer called crux cerebri. Now here you see, and the following fibers which are, so here forming the crux cerebri, as you already know. So here corticospinal fibers, corticobulbar fibers and corticopontine fibers. Now as you already know that due to the passage of these fibers, so here marginal layer, so here becomes enlarged. So here marginal layer becomes enlarged, and this leads to the formation of crux cerebri. So therefore crux cerebri is derived from this marginal layer. And here basically, as you know that crux cerebri, collicular, red nucleus, all these structures are formed, and simultaneously with the development of these parts, that this lumen which was there, as I already mentioned that there was a lumen, and this lumen gets converted into central canal of aqueduct. Written that simultaneously with the development of crux cerebri, a nuclear cranial nerves, collicular red nucleus and substantia nigra, a lumen converted to central canal aqueduct. So again, so this is our transverse section of midbrain. Now basically you have to study this in neuroanatomy, but only through the vast difference I am to show. So all these are the lemnisci, and this is the gray matter, and this contains the nucleus of trochlear nerve and the mesencephalic nucleus, and this is inferior colliculus. Now this inferior colliculi and this so here nuclei of trochlear and mesencephalic nuclei, they are the part of gray matter, and this nucleus of trochlear nerve and mesencephalic nuclei, they are derived from the, so here alar lamina, basically basal lamina of the mental layer, and this inferior colliculus and this substantia nigra. So this is the substantia nigra, this inferior colliculus and substantia nigra derived from the alar lamina of the mental layer, and this crux cerebri again, so here derived from the marginal layer, and this lemnisci, they are present in this white matter, and they are so here formed due to the passage of the eccentric tracts. But only one mistake was done initially, that all these nuclei of cranial nerve, they are derived from the basal lamina of the mental layer, not alar lamina. And this is the central canal of aqueduct, which is made due to lumen. So all these points I have written. So here basically gray matter contains the following: trochlear nerve nucleus, mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve, inferior colliculus, and all the, so here cranial nerve nucleus derived from the basal lamina of mental layer, and this substantia nigra and inferior colliculus derived from the alar lamina of mental layer, and this crux cerebri derived from the marginal layer, and this lemnisci again derived due to the passage of the eccentric tracts. This is the, so here basically lower portion. Now this is the, so here upper portion. Again in this upper portion superior colliculi form, and this lemnisci are there, and this red nucleus is there, and this substantia nigra and crux cerebri. Again, so here basically all these nuclei, basically a nucleus of oculomotor nerve, mesencephalic nucleus, all these derived from the basal lamina of mental layer, and the superior colliculi red nucleus, substantia nigra derived from the alar lamina of mental layer, and this crux cerebri derived from the marginal layer. And this white matter contains lemnisci, again derived due to the passage of the ascending tracts. Again that I have written that gray matter contains the following: oculomotor nerve nucleus, mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve, superior collicular, and all these cranial nerve derived from the basal lamina of mental layer. And just like substantia nigra, superior collicular red nucleus derived from the alar lamina of the mental layer, crux cerebri derived from marginal layer, and lemnisci derived due to the passage of the ascending tracts. So that's all about development of midbrain. Now here and all these structures you will have to study in neuroanatomy also, but in today's lecture you only understood basically how this mesencephalon converted into midbrain and what are the derivatives of mantle layer, marginal layer, and here how is the central canal of aquatum of midbrain formed. That's all.